Jules says, I sometimes call this stage the whining stage. It hurts, they say, but it doesn't hurt very much. There's no sense of urgency and therefore no serious interest in change. If you're a beginner who doesn't know how to get started with copywriting and you're looking for somewhere to learn, then you're gonna love this video. Hey, I'm Jamie the Marketing Nerd, and welcome to part 2 of my best copywriting book recommendation series. This is not your mama's copywriting list though, so make sure that you stick through to the end of the video because this is a pretty unique list that you're not gonna find anywhere else. I've read over 150 books on business, psychology, and marketing, so trust me, I've seen plenty of these lists, and I know you're gonna love this one. But before we get started, if you want more of the best free advice to market smarter, not harder, then make sure that you go down there and subscribe to the Marketing Nerd Show, and hit that bell to be notified when I post more free, actionable advice every single week. Also, if you could do me a favor and leave this video a like while you're down there too, because that seriously does help me grow my channel. Thank you so much in advance for all of your support. I really appreciate all of your comments, all of your likes, and all the sweet messages that you guys have been sending me. All right, let's dive right into it.
We interrupt this program to bring you the Marketing Nerd Show, starring Jamie, the Marketing Nerd. Grab a seat, take out your notes, and let's get into the show!
So yeah, in today's video, we're focusing on books that I would personally recommend to new copywriters, or to anyone who works in the marketing industry and wants to learn more about copywriting. In the future, I'm going to be making a video about what books I recommend for aspiring business owners or for freelancers, so make sure that you keep your eyes out for that. In these 3 videos, we'll be talking about 9 total books in the following 3 sections: mindset, strategy, and tactics. I think it's really important not just to throw a list of books at you, but also to make sure that you understand where exactly these books are going to fit into your professional development journey. So this video is part 2 of a 3-part series. Now, let's get started talking about the strategy section. Since we're moving into the strategy section, it's time to talk about book 4 on this list, which is How to Change Minds by Rob Joles. Why is this book on the list? Because I think that the lessons from Wisdom of the Crowds dovetails really beautifully into this. You have to learn the language that your prospects use to describe their problem to themselves if you want to be a successful copywriter. How do you do that? How to Change Minds gives you a framework and shows you exactly how. In this book, author Rob Joles explains his model called the decision cycle that's broken into the following 6 phases: satisfied, acknowledge, criteria, investigate, select, and reconsider. So let's break each one of these down. I'll just quickly explain the story that Rob shares in chapter 2 that explains the whole decision cycle. He and his family bought their first home in Maryland and they loved it. At this point, he was in the satisfied stage of the cycle. That's where you don't have any specific problems and there's really nothing going on that's putting pressure on you to change your situation. If you're trying to get a loved one to lose weight and they still won't really take any action even after you've talked to them, then this is probably the stage that they're in. It's kind of like the status quo stage where you're chill with everything that's going on right now. So anyway, eventually they realized that their house was by a highway, where at the time of day that they happened to see their house, it was quiet. But after living there for all hours of the day, they finally started to realize how loud it actually was. Joles says, I sometimes call this stage the whining stage. It hurts, they say, but it doesn't hurt very much. There's no sense of urgency and therefore no serious interest in change. So eventually in this acknowledged stage, a bunch of little complaints and whining might eventually pile up, and when it builds up, you may finally decide to make a change. As Joles says, people don't fix small problems, they fix big ones. So when that tipping point comes, you might start to make a list of what you wish were different about whatever your situation is. That's when you're moving into the criteria stage. From here, you might be moving into something that you probably recognize as a regular sales cycle. When you experience an emotional event, for example, maybe something like, I never want that dog to get out again, my next house must have a fence. Or something like, I'm so tired of spending hours every day in traffic on the way to work. My next house must be within 10 miles of where I work. You might decide criteria like that. From there, you move into the investigate stage, where you start to look at different options and compare them against the criteria that you've decided. You'll pull the trigger and move into the select stage when you finally buy something. After you buy something, you move into the reconsider stage, where you'll start to evaluate whether or not you're happy or unhappy with your purchase. If you're unhappy with your purchase, you might experience buyer's remorse. And if you're happy with your purchase, then you move back to the satisfied stage. Even if you're happy with your purchase initially, it might not serve your needs forever, so from there the cycle may begin again at a later date. So if that's sounding like I summarized the whole book for you, then definitely pick it up, because this is honestly just the first 30 pages of the book. All the rest of the book, you get specific tools, scripts, and strategies to use that are unique to each part of the decision cycle. What you get from this book is a process that helps you understand decision making. It will be extremely helpful for all copywriters and marketers, because it makes the unspoken, abstract, kind of behind the scenes part of really common copywriting formulas crystal clear. So, book number 4 on this list is Ogilvy on Advertising by David Ogilvy. Why is this book on the list? Why isn't this book on the list? David Ogilvy has a background as a copywriter, but he eventually went on to build one of the biggest advertising firms around, Ogilvy and Mather. There's a lot of solid information in here that's relevant for all copywriters, including how to do product research and an explanation and demonstration on exactly how to take what it is that you find in your product research and transform it into powerful ad angles. It's also an extremely helpful perspective for any copywriters or marketers out there who are considering a career on the agency side. Honestly, this book is the book that Hey Whipple Squeeze This wishes that it was. I've read Hey Whipple, even the updated version with discussion about online advertising, and overall it's just so long and so much less useful than this book. You could probably skip it, read Ogilvy on Advertising instead, and still not miss out on anything. I honestly can't say enough good things about this book. Every copywriter should pick it up because it covers so many fundamental lessons of copy. What is direct response copywriting? How to find a good idea? How to write specific copy? Plenty of information from market research about what did and didn't work for his agency, which, although a little outdated, human sensibilities don't change that much, so it's still a great jumping off point for you today. Perspective about joining an agency, perspective about starting your own agency, information about how to get clients, conversations on the differences of direct-to-consumer or B2C marketing and B2B marketing or organizational selling, ideas for print, TV, direct response, and radio spots, perspective on conversion rate optimization and legibility, and so many examples of great ads and book recommendations to check out after this. There's seriously so much in here. If I had to pick the single biggest takeaway from this book that impacted me, it would be the educational approach to marketing. Ogilvy's insistence that you should never talk down to the customer or view yourself as smarter than or above them, and using this frame to help the audience understand exactly how your product will help them. There are plenty of examples of educational advertising in this book that you can leverage as ideas for your own clients' brands. And finally, book number 6 is called Consultative Closing by Greg Bennett. Why is this book on the list? To teach you an extremely important lesson: how to understand the micro yes perspective of selling. Everyone is going to have to progress through a certain number of steps, like described in the book, to ultimately complete a transaction with your client. Depending on your client's industry and whether they're selling to consumers or organizations, B2C or B2B, and how expensive your client's products are, that process is going to look very different. The big takeaway from this book is that you need to understand every step of the process that somebody has to take to ultimately close a transaction. And my addition to that is that you really have to get this down before you ever start writing copy. It's so easy to tell when the copywriter doesn't even have a clue about what type of steps somebody has to take to actually close and count as a transaction for the product that they're promoting. The other benefit of this book is that it gives you a lot of really solid information about what it takes to do organizational selling. This means that as a copywriter, it can help you feel prepared for writing copy for industries like if your client sells to Fortune 100 companies, or if they sell to organizations, or if they have software, or industries like that. If you can learn how to break down whatever your client's product is into little micro steps like this, then you're gonna make your clients a lot of money. As an aside, this book also personally helped me with sales and selling in my business because it helped me change my mindset from closing the deal, where in that case, I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself, to more like explaining the next steps and getting confirmation from the other person that they want to continue to move forward with the process. That's way less pressure. So that's books 4 through 6 on the list. Definitely make sure that you check back for the last video in this series. Now that you have an incredible resource on how to get started with copywriting, what about your next steps? Is there a way that you could be guided step by step through writing your first piece of copy? Yes. Yes, there is. That's exactly why you should join the free Marketing Nerd 1-month funnel copywriting course. I created it to teach you the A to Z of how to develop a strategy and to walk you through step by step how to write your first pieces of copy, including everything important like a sales page, email marketing, and advertising. You definitely don't want to miss that. So make sure that you go to jamiedorchuk.com/funnel to get it now. If you want to join a community of smart business owners and marketers just like you, then come join our secret society, the Marketing Nerd Crew. It's a place to connect with each other and where you can get advice from other professional marketers and business owners. Just go to jamiedorchuk.com/crew to join that. You can find the link to that, plus everything I've mentioned and the other parts of the Marketing Nerd community down there in the description and in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching this far. If you decide to give any of these books a read, please remember to come back and let me know in the comments what you learned. Also, make sure that you subscribe to the Marketing Nerd Show so that you don't miss the last part of this series. If you like this list, then please make sure that you leave this video a like while you're down there and share it with a friend, because doing that helps me grow our community. If you want another video that goes even deeper into what we just talked about today, then make sure that you don't miss my full Secrets of a 7-Figure Copywriter presentation. Or if you missed the first part of this series, make sure that you go back and see books 1 through 3 on this list. Just check out these 2 videos that popped right up for you. I hand selected them for you, so I know you're gonna love them. Thank you so much again for watching today. I really appreciate your time, your attention, and all of your support. And I'll see you next week. Goodbye for now.